By the way, we've been hearing from billionaires who are concerned about tariffs, but it's America's small businesses who are on the front lines. In fact, 99.9% of all U.S. businesses are described as small. Many owners are living paycheck to paycheck and simply don't have the money in the bank to withstand the tsunami of higher prices across the board. And while small is in their title, their impact on the economy is huge. There are more than 33 million small businesses in this country, which employ nearly half of Americans working in the private sector. President Trump argues tariffs will bring jobs back to manufacturing here in the U.S. He wants America to make things again. As of last October, manufacturing jobs made up less than 8% of the U.S. workforce. Compare that to the peak in 1979 when it was around 22%. So can all the things we buy in America be made in America? Let's talk to a small business owner who's making these decisions in real time. She's trying to figure out how her business can survive these tariffs and what it means for the prices you pay. Emma McIlroy is the CEO of the clothing company Wildfang. Emma, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
So let's just talk about kind of the change that happened at the stroke of midnight this morning. How much does it cost you to bring in inventory from China now versus yesterday?
I'll give you a really clear example. We had our summer order. So we make apparel, we make fashion. Our summer order arrived on Monday this week. If that order had arrived today, it would have cost us $178,000 more to receive it. I don't have that money.
$178,000.
So then,
more.
right. So then you, and I'm presuming this, but you are passing, or you have to pass on those costs to the consumer. So how does that translate to the final price that a consumer will pay for those clothing?
That's a great question. I do think you're going to see businesses have to pass this on to consumers. If you were to try, Vlad, if you were trying to maintain the same structure that you have right now, it would mean an 83% increase in consumer prices. I don't think you're going to see that full price increase, but that's how aggressive this would be for consumers.
Can you afford not to pass on all those prices?
Look, I don't think consumers are going to pay that level of a price increase, right? So as a small business, we're going to try everything. We're going to try everything in our power to not pass that along. That's going to include working with our factory partners. That's going to include looking at new factories and new places to manufacture. That's going to include cutting our costs as a business. Every business is going to do that. And as a small business, there's not that many places to cut, right? So it's going to include all of that. I think the last resort is going to be to increase prices, but these numbers are staggering. They're so painful.
And you mentioned it's going to look for new places to manufacture. The president wants these tariffs to lead to more manufacturing here in the U.S. Is that an option for you?
Look, I fully support that vision. I'm a huge proponent of U.S. manufacturing, which is why twice in the last 6 months that we've scoped that out and looked at it for our business. It's not an option. It's not an option for most apparel businesses, certainly most small apparel businesses. Why not? Well, a couple of things. Firstly, when you contact the factory and you say, "Hey, I want to make this blazer with you guys," they say, "Great. You need to buy 3,000 units before we'll even look at your order." I don't sell 3,000 units of anything, right? So the minimum order quantities that they ask for, it's not an option. Beyond that, you can't get the material in America to make most clothing. Things like rayons, polyesters, woven materials, whether synthetic or not, they're very hard to get here. Then you have trims, so your zippers, your buttons, your labels, those are also not made in America. So even if you were to do the cut and sew here, you got to get the materials into the country, which is also going to face the tariffs. So I fully support the idea of American manufacturing returning. I think it would be a tremendous thing to achieve. I think the speed of these changes and the lack of infrastructure to support them is going to make them incredibly painful for small business.
So you bring up an interesting point, which is that you are a small business owner. Fruit of the Loom presumably can absorb those challenges, those costs that it costs to produce something in the United States. So what are the challenges of a small business owner like yourself versus a large multinational conglomerate?
The first one is simply cash. That order that I mentioned to you, we got incredibly lucky that it arrived on Monday. If it arrived today, I'm not sure how I would have paid for it. So the first is cash. You order in our industry, that order was placed in October, right? And it shipped in March. So you order quite a long way out. So Those are not numbers that I don't have that much cash lying around. Most small business owners don't have that kind of cash lying around. So the first is cash. The big guys won't face that. And secondly, when you look at our business, we became profitable recently, which is a huge goal for a small business and something we're really proud of. And this immediately makes us unprofitable. It immediately makes our business model unsustainable. Just to put it into simple terms, these tariffs mean that we need to find $50 for every order. So $50 that we don't spend right now, we need to find that for every single order that someone places on Wildfang, which that's a tall order.
Incredible. That really just sort of puts it all into perspective for us. Emma McIlroy, thank you very much. Good luck with this. This is really tough for everybody right now.